good, Rose? What's up?
Nothing much. Just here at the salon. I'm so glad you came by and visited. Holy.
I know, thank you. I will. Can you just pencil me in
Just
every week?
maybe next time bring me some lunch or what?
I got you on dinner. Okay.
Okay, cool.
I would, but you're healthy. You don't eat the food I eat.
Just go ahead. I want some salad from maybe Cafe Rio. Grilled
Okay,
chicken.
cool. Okay, coolio.
But I'm happy you're here.
I know. So what's good? What's up? What's coming? What do you have going?
I have my PA. She started sending out flyers for the project that's coming up.
Exciting.
Makeup artists and hairstylists. I'm looking for some raw talent and just people I want to work with, to kind of inspire, kind of give them an opportunity they never had. And so this year I feel I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever's coming. Because you already know last year.
Last year was rough.
I know. It was rough. I took a real hit when my dad passed away. I felt, and it's almost going to be a year next month. And so I don't know, after he passed away, I felt like I just wanted to give up on everything and throw in the towel. I felt like I had nothing to live for after, But I know that, I got to push through whatever is out there. The blessings that are mine I just have to go. I have to go get it. So I'm excited for this year. I hope that, and I want to kind of just owe it to him. Owe it to him and my mom.
I know he's so proud of you.
I hope.
Like
I owe him everything.
You were his life.
I know.
Everyone knows that.
I owe him everything.
Everyone knows you're his life.
I know.
Some of us wish we didn't know you were his life. But
I know.
okay, cool. So what's good? Like, what do you have going?
So I am doing my new project.
You are?
I have my PA that's doing helping me. She actually already sent out flyers. I'm looking for a makeup artist and hairstylist. I just want some raw talent, to work along with them. And so that's what I'm doing. So that's what I'm in the process of doing.
That's so awesome. Well, speaking of that, there's a couple of things that I wanted to just bounce off ideas from you and see what your thoughts are. So, we are going on tour this fall, and we are going to go on a trip in a couple of weeks. And I'm kind of going back and forth as far as whether or not I want, to take Salt Lake artists, because we know
how we went before.
Yeah.
Like we would take makeup artists, hairstylists from here, Salt Lake.
And I don't know if I want to do that again. This models, yes. Makeup artists, maybe not. And the only reason for that is we know how it was. Loved the people, but guess what? To be honest, it wasn't really functional. It wasn't realistic. So, what are your thoughts, Rose? This is your department, and I don't want to step on toes. Is it possible?
You already know. Whatever you want, I'm gonna do it. And so I think, let's do it. Like,
are you sure? Because me and you always fight on tour.
Okay, what? You know what? Just stay in your lane and let me stay in mine. Is that cool?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll stay in my lane. That's why That's why I'm meeting with
Thank
you.
you.
Like, do you think? Okay, is it doable? Do we want to just go the other route or what?
We did it before. Even though we took our own makeup artist and hairstylist, we still did casting, and I want, the experience. You already know the time crunch and the experience that we need. They had to know how to do ethnic hair, train in timing, in a timely manner. And so, of course, let's just go and do castings in all the cities and get the best. And it's cool, man. Like, the networking is cool. Like, getting to know
There's
other
some
artists.
real talent there, too.
Yeah, for real.
There's some real talent. So, I think it'll be a lot more work up front and not on tour, but at least yeah, it's going to be cost effective. It's going to be more effective in the long run because these tours are going to happen. And if we have established teams, it will be easier.
Yeah.
But I wanted to hear from you. I wanted to hear from you because I know you're the one that crunch time, 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, and it gives them an opportunity to know who Exalt is. So that way we can work, different artists, makeup artists, hairstylists, and just give everyone a chance to know who we are and what we do.
Okay, that's what's up. So how's your dating life?
You already know.
Okay.
This is my dating life right here. My hustle. Is that cool? Or?
Yeah, that's cool. Don't I? All right. Okay.
My number is. No, I'm just like.
In 2018, I had the opportunity to go on my first tour for music. And while we were in the city of London, I was approached by a major producer in regards to furthering my career in the music industry. And the music industry has really changed from 10 years ago as to today. He had explained to me that a lot of it had to do with your following on social media and the influence you have. And so about a year ago, last summer, a week before the Miss Helala pageant in Tongan, my sister called me, my oldest sister, and told me that I was going to be a contestant in the pageant. And although I am not a pageant girl and I don't know too much about pageants, I saw the greatest opportunity to at least get out there and perform. And it was even more special because it was for the people of Tonga. When I was going to Tonga, I was not going with the expectation of winning. Many people had already told me that there was a chosen winner or that it was all politics there, but I did not care. I valued more the experience that I was going to gain, which is exactly what I gained. I won something far more valuable, which was the relationship with a lot of the girls that I love dearly today. We all keep in touch, and I think it was a special year to go and build a relationship with all of them. Not only that, I was able to experience Tonga in a way that I never had heard of before. Every time that I was able to step foot on the stage, I felt like a different person, and I felt like it was the best version of me when I was able to go on stage, whether it was for singing or dancing or for displaying an island creation that we believed in. I felt like it was the best version of me every time I got to step in front of the people. And I think that above all was probably the greatest experience that I could have won coming back to the States from Tonga. One of my most favorite experiences during the Helala pageant was the parade, the nighttime parade and the daytime parade, which I, prior to the pageant, had no idea of. And even preparing for it the week before and even throughout the week, they would tell us, make sure you have your float, make sure you're ready for the parade, be there. And it didn't even cross my mind that, oh, it's gonna be a big parade here in Tonga. But I remember the morning of, I was asking my mom, like, oh, am I just gonna walk? What am I gonna do? And she said, they actually prepared a float for you. And so I remember pulling up to the parade, the beginning of it, and they had this big float. And it was just on the back of a family truck. And when we pulled up, my family and other members that are friends of my parents, they were there and they were decorating and they were putting the Tongan mats on it, and they had plants. And they said, this float is to represent you. And I remember being so touched by that because I had never met these people before.
Everything's blunt. Everything is natural. It's called gifts to this world, and that's what we have to do these decorations with. And all the best to her. We all love you, and all the families here in the kingdom, Matahau, Kolovai, all that we have family being here to support her 101%. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And they didn't even have to see me. They had it prepared for me when I got there. And so I feel like that was probably one of the most touching things for me. That's the epitome of the Tongan culture, is giving everything even when you feel like you don't have anything. And that was probably the most touching experiences I had while I was in Tonga. I also had the opportunity of recording my first music video in the island kingdom of Tonga, and it is so special because even looking back now in the certain locations that we are at, there are memories that are tied to it, not just for me, but for all of the Tongan people. I remember showing one of my friends who is from Tonga, who grew up in Tonga, the music video, and as soon as she saw the shot of Kolo, the city, she immediately started to cheer. She got excited and was telling me, I can't believe it. You got a shot there, that's the coolest thing. And so to help people feel connected to who they are through music, just seeing the excitement in her face was something that I really enjoyed. Okay, so overall in the pageant, I came in 3rd place, which was honestly much more than we had expected to win going into it. And I think a part of being an artist, one of the biggest things that I had to understand and I had to learn early on was that I have to respect the process. And so that includes taking private losses and also public losses. And so one thing that I remember learning in this was ultimately, as I had explained prior to this, I went for the opportunity to perform and to sing and to dance. That was my, above all the experiences, I was so excited to ultimately do that. And I remember my sister had been training me for a week. And I even left to Tonga a week without her. And so she would just coach me over FaceTime and tell me that I'm singing this wrong, what I'm doing right. And I remember the day of that I was supposed to perform my talent, I was so excited, but I was so nervous because in my head I was like, this is what I came to do, this is what I came to show everyone. And I remember as soon as I got on stage, as soon as I spoke into the mic didn't work. And I was like, okay, it's not gonna turn out how I want it to turn out, and you just gotta roll with it. And I remember holding the mic and the mic didn't work, and so I just walked straight up to the edge of the stage and walked right back, not even knowing what to do because it didn't work. And as soon as it started to work, I went on with my performance. I had worn a cape that I had never practiced with, and so that absolutely got in the way of my dance moves. And I was wearing new shoes that night, and I remember just being like, this is a total mess. Like, everything is going wrong. I'm on stage, I came to Tonga to do this and to show everyone that this is what I love to do, and everything is going wrong. Every night had seemed to go perfect in the way that we needed it to go, except for my talent night. And so I remember as soon as the song was over, I remember singing and I couldn't even hear myself. The speakers were going out and I was just like, I hope it was on tune. I hope it sounded good. And I remember walking off stage, and as soon as I walked off stage, I just dropped the mic and I started crying. And I was like, and my older sister and my brother who were there, they were like, you did your best, I don't know why you're beating yourself. But I knew inside my head that I could do better, that I could have done better. And it didn't turn out that way. It was the absolute biggest loss for me of the entire pageant, because I was like, in my head, I told my siblings, like, this is what I came to Tonga to do, and it didn't work. Like, it didn't turn out the way that I had hoped it to. And I remember just, even that night, when they had called the top final 5, I didn't go on stage because I was so disappointed in the way that I had delivered my performance. And so I remember sitting down with my sister that night, and she explained to me the whole process of taking losses in private and in public, that you have to own up to whatever you bring to the table. And so that was probably one of the biggest lessons that I learned, that although the whole talent didn't turn out the way I would have hoped it would have, I actually gained a lot of experience and a backbone above all on just owning up to what you are able to deliver. And it was actually my first lesson on speaking to the public and getting your voice across afterwards.
What respecting the process means to me is this. When my sisters left the construction industry, I was the only one that stayed. And I mentioned earlier that it was by choice. And it was because
I knew that from the company that we were working for, I was learning what was going on down, in the dirt and all of that. But I knew that on the management level, I knew that I could do that. And that's why I wanted to stay in the construction industry, because it was something that I was learning. I knew how to do every job, and I knew that I could run a company like that. And so I stayed. I chose to stay. And same thing, one of the challenges was my daughter. When I was dating with my sisters, I was pregnant. I started when I was 3 months all the way till I gave birth. And then I took a little break. I was off for a year, to tend to my daughter. And then I got right back into it. By that time, my sisters were out of it, but I was still interested, and that's where I wanted to be. So when my daughter was old enough, to be taken care of by my sisters and by my family, I went into it, and I wanted to learn more. So I went and asked my uncle for a job, and I said, hey, I still want to do this. Everybody has gotten out of it. I still want to do it. Can I come and bury boxes for you? And he said yes. And so I went, again, started from the bottom. I was able to learn different things like shooting the missile and running the vac, and learning how to do everything, including jobs on management level. And so for me, that's what kind of fueled me. Was it hard to leave my daughter? It absolutely was. It sucked. Did it suck? Yes, it did. It sucked because no mother wants to leave, their daughter, especially at a young age, but for me, when we're talking about respecting the journey and the hustle and all of that, that's what it is to me. For me, I sacrificed the time with my daughter while she's at a very young age to go and learn things, learn how to run my own company, learn every single job that I can to become really good at it, to be the best, learn how to be the best at what I'm doing. I sacrificed that time with my daughter so that when she's older and her, as she grows and she starts to, her age starts to require more time from me, like conversations and different things like that, and time as a mom, I can be there. That's where trusting and respecting the process for me comes in. I'm putting in my time. I know what I'm doing. I'm working hard. I'm getting to where I want to become, so that when I actually get into when I actually am there and I have my company and I'm running it well because I took the steps to learn it, I'm there and I'm happy. And that's why respecting the process is so important to me. It is a big thing. I know that in motherhood, all mothers are different, and they all have their opinions about, what's best for their children. And so, of course, I know all of that and I hear that, but it ultimately comes back to my goal of being with my daughter. That's what I want. That's the big picture for me, is being with her. And so the process is hard. Learning everything is hard. Gaining respect from people who you're not, normally going to work around is hard. But showing up is half of it. Just showing up, being there and trusting yourself enough to know I can do this. Waking up and doing little things. For me, I get up and I look in the mirror before I wake my daughter up, and I say things like, you know what, like, you can do this. You do know that, you're good at what you're doing. So you keep going. You keep going. I talk to myself like that. I acknowledge the things that are good that I do, so that when I go in, and whether things are bad or not, I know what I'm doing is good. I know that the lessons that I'm learning are real lessons. And so that's what it is for me when I hear you got to respecting the process, because nothing is going to come easy. nothing worth, having is gonna come easy. And I believe that very strongly. I believe that if there's no hard work or any struggle in it or anything that you really had to kind of push yourself to do is worth it. The reasons why, the lessons that are learned in those hardships when you're like at like ground zero. When I first started digging for my uncle, I looked at my savings account. I had $7. I had nothing in there. And I told myself, like, I looked at my daughter and I sat and I just looked at her and I was like, you know what? We're gonna be in a completely different place a year from now. I promise you that. And that's why I get up, say those affirmations in the mirror to myself, and I also say them to my daughter so that my daughter can see. She can see what it looks like to be self-inspiring, to be self-loving, to be able to respect something that's hard, but so worth it. So when I hear respect the process, that's what it is for me. Getting out there, showing up, not only for yourself, but showing up for who you're working for. Show them, like, you know what? I'm not like other people that I work with. I can actually do it. I can do good. I can do well, and I can learn from the best to be the best. And so, yeah.
I enrolled in beauty school in the year 2013, and I graduated the end of 2015. And the vision that I had for me, even doing hair or starting something was really big. I had a real, a grand vision of what I wanted, and I always wanted a salon, to run my own salon. And coming out of school, you usually go and work at a salon. That way you can get the experience and get paid by commissions or even do a booth rent. But I had different dreams. I wanted to actually do my own thing from the beginning. So I went and registered. I did my business as Celestial Rose, which is named after my two nieces. And I actually was in a booth rent at studio salons. And it was a humble experience. I remember the hype of everything, and I was just so happy because I knew what I wanted. I knew why I was there and how far I could go. But starting at a booth and trusting the process really helped me understand what I wanted, what clients I was going to take, the income I would make, and just setting my own hours. But it did kind of get rough. After a while, sometimes I would sit there and waiting for clients. But I never gave up, and I remember some of the ladies in my salon would tell me, what are you doing here? You don't even have a clientele. You should go to a salon, start there. But because I knew what I wanted and the vision that I had, it kept me pushing, it pushed me. And so after starting at the booth, I actually rented out the bigger room in the studio, and I started renting out chairs and just running it as a business and seeing the growth that I could take and the growth I could have in it. And it was amazing. And since that, I just have been able to really understand the process and trusting that whatever I want and desire, or the vision that I have, will always be bigger than me. So just go get it no matter what.
Every mother has their own style of mothering. I have been blessed to experience this with my own two babies.
QRSTUVWXYZ.
You gonna say, I love you, Mimi.
Love you. Oh, don't take it off. Don't try and break it off.
Who has lip gloss on?
Me. Not me.
Can you tell Lilo that she looks beautiful?
Does it look beautiful? No. She doesn't. He does. She doesn't. She doesn't.
She does look beautiful, Kate. Like mentioned earlier, I have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, so they are at that stage of being able to soak up as much as possible. With that being said, there are certain things that I find very important to instill in my 2 kids at this age. And one of them is just instilling cleanliness. And not so much cleanliness within them, but just being able to maintain my or our home in a way that I like. Growing up, I grew up in a home where my mom was super, super particular on how she wanted things to get done, specifically making sure that the house was pretty much spotless before we ever left. And if we had friends over or if they slept over, you could guarantee that at 6 a.m. she would not only just wake me and my siblings up, but she would also wake up our friends and give them something to do to make sure that the house is clean. It's something that I laugh about now, but it's also something that I'm going to instill in my kids, and if anybody sleeps over, then that's exactly what it's going to be. As far as teaching them, it's been a process. It's definitely not very easy, especially at their age, because all they want to do is make the mess, get up, move to the next room, and make more mess. And usually that's how it's been. I've been able to read to them. We would play, we would pretend to tell each other stories using the pictures. And interesting enough, it's been pretty awesome to see how much their little brains could grasp. And just sharing information. It's been pretty repetitive. We'll probably read the same book for 2 weeks, but to see them remember certain things, or to hear them understand the story and tell it in their own way, has been pretty exciting for me, to where it's been a lot easier to do away with the screen times. And it's been way funner. It's been, like I said, it's cool. And so I mother differently from how Mother B would mother, and it's just cool to be able to see how everybody mothers differently. Again, with the 2 things that I find that's important to instill in my 2 babies, it's worked out so far as as cleaning and less screen time. It's also been able to see their growth and being able to retain the lessons that we've had. Overall, as far as trusting the process in motherhood, for me, it's making every moment count with my babies at home. Overall, as far as trusting the process in motherhood, for me, it's making sure that I make every moment count each day with the babies. I'm making all the memories that I can while they're still young. They may not remember, but to me, every minute counts. I have about 5 years with them before they go to school. And so if I can instill what I think is very important right now in them, hopefully by the time they're 5 years old, it's become a part of them, what I've instilled here at home.
So a couple years ago, I had started Exalt, and Exalt is a company that I was really passionate about in the fashion industry. And in the beginning stages, it was really rough. I actually remember it was the night before my flight to New York City, and we were meeting with a really big designer in regards to his show. And I had been working with a company, I had partnered with a company out there for about 3 months. And so I think it was like 8 o'clock. I had gotten off my day job. At the time I was working at Comcast to get ready for my flight. And when on my way, I had received an email. And the email address that was sent was like an unknown email address, but it was like a cancellation of my meeting, and it was a cancellation of us working, but I had already put so much effort and work into the project. And I remember just being so devastated and thinking to myself, like, this was my big opportunity in New York City, and it was within minutes, it was just taken from me. I don't know who this person was. And I remember being so distraught that I went to the bathroom at work, and I was crying in the bathroom. And when I was crying, I remember just this small inclination or prompting, if you will, tell me to reach out to this designer specifically. And I think in most cases, you know, in situations where you're at a huge loss or a devastating stage, we are in our emotions a lot of the time. But when I had felt this, I felt so strongly that I like Googled the designer's name and like went through all these different contacts and sent out like maybe 20 emails within the time frame of like 15 minutes. And so I remember getting home and being just so devastated. By this time, it was probably like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I received an email back from the designer. And he was like, if you can be here tomorrow at, 11 p.m., we can sit and talk about what you have to offer. And I feel like respecting the process means respecting the moments of devastation and respecting the moments of failure and understanding that those moments are really sacred. In my personal experience, I've seen all of the biggest things that I've ever done in my life come from really hard moments. And so I call it the silent light bulb, where it's just me and no one else. And that's where I feel like God gives me the promptings to make the next moves or the next step. But I have to be in the mindset of knowing that during hardship, that's when he's going to communicate and give me my next move. And so the process is a beautiful thing, even with all of the bad stuff, even with the losses, the failures, the bad and ugly situations. And so eventually we met, and I was able to produce his show for the very first time. And it was the beginning of Exalt. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I will never forget that moment. But had I just sat in my emotions, I would have missed the biggest opportunity of my life. And I'm just grateful that I was able to see it for what it was.